Hey gang, Spacetime Badass here. So, as you may or may not know, I've had a bit of a dry spell with lucid dreams. I think I mentioned that in one of my previous videos. But overall, my dream recall had gone completely out the window, and I was just having trouble remembering like any dreams at all, let alone having lucid dreams or the dreams that I would become lucid in. Um, they would be really brief, and I would kind of lose control, like losing sight and stuff like that. And I hadn't really been able to regain control like I had in the past, and it had become a problem. And then within the past few days, like I've been thinking about it a lot more. I think it's even since I made my last video, I've just been kind of thinking about the channel more and the work that I was doing here, and just trying to get back into the swing of things because lucid dreaming is really it's a big part of my life. It's funny to say that it's your hobby. It's one of my hobbies, but it's funny to say that you have a hobby while you're not conscious in your physical body, and that's like, oh, a lot of times hard to get people to understand that it's like, yeah, it's a hobby. It's like, but you're asleep, but you're awake. um, it's really interesting, and overall the goal for me with lucid dreaming was to maintain consciousness like forever, basically. I am a person who I hate the cycles of life. Like, I find it really redundant that we eat and we drink just so we can expel these things, and then we sleep so that we can wake up and just do it all over again. And I would like a constant baseline of sameness. So when striving for that, I really dug into lucid dreaming because I was like, this is great because I can remain conscious when my body is unconscious, so I can get the sleep that I need, and I can also still get this kind of face time with getting, I guess, a more increased life, because I mean, you do spend several years of your life sleeping. So if you can actually extend how conscious you are during that time, then in my book, that's more time being awake, and I think overall that's a really good thing. Excuse me. But anyway, I had this dry spell, and I mean it was I was looking at my dream journal, and it was actually about 3 months where nothing really big happened in my dream life, and I had actually kind of just stopped documenting things. But the other night after I made a video on here, I was just thinking about it a little bit more, and then I had this thing, because even like the only thing that can really get me to go to sleep is meditation, because I don't know what it is. I can sit in the bed for 2 to 3 hours a night, remain perfectly still, comfortable, trying to go to sleep and not go to sleep. Um, and I just keep really ridiculous hours. It's just always been a thing for me. So when meditating, when discovering meditation in the waking life, which I do from time to time, really not as often as I should, I incorporated it into my night regimen. So what I'll do is I lay down, I'll actually meditate, and that's the only thing that can get me to go to sleep. So when doing that, I somehow became lucid in this dream briefly, um, and I immediately lost it. And then I was able to remain conscious through the meditation practice that I had been doing before I fell asleep, and actually began to see patterns, colors moving, music began to play, and it was overall just a really pleasant experience to have, um, because it was just like entertainment, and I was still conscious for it. I was just trying to keep my mind clear, and I was just observing these really beautiful things that my mind was putting together. It was great. And so I was excited about that, and I was like, well, I really need to get to documenting in my dream journal, so I'll at least write this down, since it wasn't like a crazy experience, but I mean, I was lucid, so I will document that. And it's as if documenting it had a really big impact on the next night, which was last night. So I didn't even write down this experience when I woke up. I wrote it about midday, closer to the end of the day, and then just kind of went to bed that night. And last night I had a really great experience, which is what basically about what this video is about. But I just kind of want to lead up to it a bit. Um, so I found myself, after going to bed, I found myself um, at the side, like looking off the side of my bed, looking at this object that was basically a calendar. It was like if you were to take a piece of wood and just kind of make it, you know, flat like a calendar, and like each day in the calendar would be pushed up. So yeah, it's just a calendar made of wood. And this isn't an object that exists, but in the dream it was perfectly normal for me to be doing this, and I just happened to start counting the days. And I noticed that as I was counting them, the number was changing until there were big pieces of like wood blocks, and it's like there's not 10 days in a month. I know this. Um, and so I realized I was dreaming. So I got up, and I was actually in the environment of my childhood home, which is really the last place that I ever called home. Um, I didn't really notice it at the time, as I say, but I just kind of walked out of my bedroom, walked through the other bedroom to the living room, and went out the door. And once out there, I was like, wait a second, I realized where I'm at, and I was really happy to be back there because I really love that place. And it was a really nice sunny day when I was outside there, and there's this big tree in our yard that I really liked. And even lately, I think part of it is that I've been really getting into bonsai. Like, I've just been looking up at videos and stuff, and I think they're really, really, really beautiful. Um, but I was like, oh, I'll go to that tree. So I went over, and there was like a tree there, but it wasn't quite the right tree. And I was like, that's not right. And every time I was just kind of trying to see the tree that was actually there in real life, another tree would kind of appear, and but there was always like something off about the tree, and I was just like, whatever, it's a dream, it's okay, not a problem. And then I kind of skip to I'm in bed again, and this is like more of a false awakening kind of, because I wake up, and I'm where I'm actually asleep. I'm here, and what happens is I get up, and I walk through the house. It all feels very real. I don't know why I go outside. At this point, I mean, I'm lucid, but I'm not fully lucid. It's like I'm aware that something is kind of amiss here, but I'm still kind of really in what I'm doing. And so I go outside, and there are people there, and like just off at the neighbors. It's, you know, it's sunny day, and I'm standing there in what I'm actually wearing in real life, which is pajama pants, no shirt. And I'm like, well, I should be inside. And I go inside, and I was like, that was really weird. I thought there was like something weird about this. I thought it was a dream or something, and I wasn't sure. So I just kind of looked around for something to prove if I was awake or if I was asleep. And I found a clock, which actually isn't even there in real life, but that was normal to me apparently. And the only thing that was showing on this clock was a 7, the number 7. And I told that number that it was a 3. And so I closed my eyes and I said, this is a 3. And then I opened my eyes and it was a 2. And I said, no, you're a 3. And then it turned to a 3 before my eyes, which is cool because a lot of the time I don't really look at morphing objects. I think I mentioned in one of my earlier videos that when I'm morphing an object, I usually just like cover my eyes or close my eyes, because the process of watching something change into another thing, or people appear and disappear, can sometimes be difficult to achieve if you're looking right at it. But apparently I've started to break through that barrier because I was able to change that before my eyes, which was interesting. So I was like, yes, I'm definitely dreaming. So I turn away and I start actually heading what is physically this way in the real house. Started to head this way, and this wall was like a bare wall, and it was white in the dream. And this couch wasn't even here. Nothing was really. It was just this wall. And I start to lose vision in like the upper portion, so I can only really see like down. And for me, if I start losing vision, what I'll do in a dream is I'll try to immediately regain that vision by like rubbing my eyes or whatever. But I decided to just kind of go with the flow. If I can see down here, then I'm gonna sit down here. So I sat down there, and I was looking at this wall, and I think this would be a really good time to go ahead and practice meditation in dreaming, because I tried it maybe one time before my dry spell, and it wasn't very successful. But this time it was really successful, and I think I'm going to be doing this a lot more when lucid dreaming. So since I've decided to sit down there and I've decided to meditate, I just kind of breathe. Um, I don't close my eyes actually, which is interesting because that's what I tried last time that I tried meditating in a lucid dream, and I just kind of lost it, and I just ended up in like another dream. There was nothing really profound about it. But I kept my eyes open this time, and I was just looking at this wall, and I was just, maintaining a quiet mind, breathing. And then suddenly I start to see like the particles in the wall start to form into a picture. And at first I kind of like, in the wall, like I see like the pattern that's kind of like reminiscent of my face. So I just keep looking and trying to keep the mind quiet, and eventually like it's my whole body, and there's another me in the wall staring back at me, but it's like a picture upon the wall, like as I say, the particles of the wall forming me on this flat surface. And as I continue to look onward, it takes shape a little bit more, and as like starting with a face and moving downward, the wall just kind of vanishes, and I'm sitting before another me, and we're staring at each other, and I'm meditating, and the wall is just completely gone at this point. It's just like he and I, me, myself, and I. And there's this white light that is like pouring from the top, like a spotlight on this person, this other me. And what happens is he's speaking, and he's actually been speaking since I began to see his face form in the wall. Like, he's been speaking, but I can't hear anything. And so I'm trying to read his lips after a moment, and unsuccessful. And so I'm just like, I just need to quiet my mind. I just need to see what happens. And so I maintain a quiet mind. And by the time he's there, completely physically in front of me, and he's, talking on, and I can't hear anything, and he holds out his hand. So I'm really excited that this has become fruitful, and that I'm actually kind of like breaking through to something on the next level here. So excitedly, I grab his hand, and he says, "Ouch!" Actually, I apparently had hurt him, and he, like at this point, I heard him speak, and so he then starts to yell again. But as soon as he like he's starting to get angry, actually, like, so he's talking again, and then I can't hear him again. He's like angry, speaking quickly, and just really unhappy, and our hands are still like right here, and I don't know why I get the urge to say this to him, to me. I say, "Hey," I stop him and I say, "Hey, I accept you." And upon saying that in this dream, it got really profound for me. So here I am with myself, and as I look at myself, I can't hear myself speaking. And then I kind of reach out to myself, and I accept that, but it's almost as if this other representation of me at this point seemed like kind of like anger, a desperation to connect with the more integrated self. Um, and so, like, yeah, at the smallest thing, which, if he's offering his hand and I just kind of, yeah, and end up hurting him, obviously it's a mistake. But, I mean, obviously in a dream, there's not really a whole lot to do with pain, so it's just kind of like this fabrication that my mind had planned, that this other me would get angry, and as soon as he's yelling again, I don't hear anything. So that's like, step back. When you take away the audio to someone yelling, I mean, it's just kind of, look at yourself, this is anger. And by just taking a moment to say, I accept you, I accepted the part of me that was this anger. And as soon as I said that, it changed. Like, he was really really happy and things were good. And we were both really happy, and we both like started to kind of laugh. And I was like, "So what? Do I like absorb you now?" And I like brought him in for a hug, actually with the idea that maybe I would absorb him, which is really weird, but it just seemed like the right thing that would happen. And like as I hugged him, the white light that I had seen around him before, like, was between us, and I definitely felt an emotional response from that, as well as from like accepting myself. Like that was the biggest tearjerker of the thing. And so like we're hugging, and he's just like laughing hardcore, um, and I realized that this is not only the part of myself that is anger and the desperation to connect with the self. It's the part of me that is like my sense of humor and happiness, because like the rest of the few moments of that dream was just us kind of like palling around in a big way. And he was more like, yeah, there was anger and that sort of thing, but once that was resolved, he was more of like an incorrigible version of me, and um, happy-go-lucky even. And um, I don't know, I'm really pleased with this experience. It was really big for me. um, I'm definitely going to um, meditate in lucid dreams more. I just really needed to share that because this, for me, this is big. This is the first real lucid dreaming experience that it's like, this is like a really like life-altering thing, because how often do you get that opportunity to see yourself removed, and see how you can be sometimes, and yet still accept that part of yourself and be better for it. It was a really big healing experience, especially amazed because like in meditation and in waking life, I've never experienced anything even similar to that. Like I say in some other videos, like I can experience hypnagogia and just lights and stuff like that. I haven't really gotten to a point where something like this would happen in waking life. But when you take it out of the real life context and in a lucid dream, when you're aware in that dream and you go to meditate, it can be really groundbreaking. So I recommend it for anyone who is already proficient in lucid dreaming. Um, Thank you so much for watching. I'm Spacetime Badass, and take it easy.